Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back around to another edition of the Sports Report right here on LBTV. As always, I'm your host, Jake Griffith. It was an action-packed last week in Lynx athletics. 7 teams were in action this past Saturday, 4 of them playing at home, and 3 of them performing in front of fans in anticipation for Senior Day presentations. Football, men's and women's soccer. The rugby team also hosted their first ever home playoff game. And your men's basketball team was in action this past Tuesday against their first ranked opponent of the season. We'll talk about all that, plus hockey for the first time here on the show on the Sports Report. So a pretty action-packed day, to say the least. We'll go ahead and get started with football here as the Lynx men's football team were in action against the number 14 team in the country, the Robert Morris Eagles from Chicago, Illinois. And let's go ahead and take a look at those highlights. Pretty good game on Saturday, to say the least.
Lynx in action on Senior Day this past Saturday, the final home game of the year. Seniors being recognized on the field prior to the game against RMU, the 14th ranked team in the country. Pick it up, first quarter of action here at Lindenwood Stadium. 3rd down and 4 upcoming for Byron Dawkins and the RMU Eagles. Dawkins in an empty set's going to drop back, fire out to his receiver on the near side, who back jukes and turns away from a man, loses the ball, forced fumble by the Lynx, and Eric Sadowski falls on it. That won't be the first time you hear his name called today. Huge game for Sadowski. Austin takes the snap from shotgun on the ensuing possession, fires downfield looking for Walt Jackson, and the Lynx were taking stabs early, looking to blow the top off the RMU defense. Just couldn't get it there. Next possession for RMU, man's going to go in motion to the bottom of the formation. Dawkins is going to read option fake, keep it himself, pump once. Trey Parker falls in coverage. There's a wide open man downfield, but Dawkins overthrows him once again. Incomplete pass. RMU, though, is able to move the ball down the field a little later in the drive, fires out to his man. It's 4th down upcoming. They go for it on 4th down in the Lynx territory, and Trey Parker and K. Ross Stewart come up with a huge tackle on 4th down, force a turnover on downs. First quarter would end 0-0. Second quarter action now. Things start to get a little more hairy here. Dawkins in shotgun now with 3 wide receivers in the game. Fumbles the handoff, I should say, to his running back. Falls on it immediately. That would bring up a field goal for Brian Franklin. This one from 35 yards out. And the snap is good, the hold is good, and it's up and through the uprights. 3-0 lead in the second quarter for the Eagles. They get the ball back. He'll turn and hand off to Corey Robinson, who shifts and shucks tacklers, running downfield, setting RMU up with good field position. And then next play, Dawkins is going to take the snap from shotgun. Looks over the middle and fires, looking for his receiver, but there's Von Bilberry, comes up with the interception, his second of the year through 3 games this season. The place is jacked, fans are jacked, and the Lynx are jacked as Bilberry gives the Lynx back the ball. Now, on 4th down, special teams woes continue to hurt the Lynx this season as the ball gets snapped over John Kelly's head. Oscar Reyes, the usual long snapper, out for the season. Sleeman snaps it over Kelly's head, and RMU would make the Lynx pay. First play off the bad snap, and the running back's going to find pay dirt from 24 yards out. Touchdown, 10-0 lead for the Eagles. Now Austin takes the snap, gets hit as he throws downfield, had a man, but incomplete, looking for Chisholm, and then the Lynx now forced to punt. But hold everything. Remember the last time the Lynx went to punt against a ranked opponent at home? They faked it on the fake punt pass to Armani Tufaga against Marion 2 weeks ago. And we'll have to see, do the Lynx do it again? As we'll get back to live action. And they do. Direct snap to Cam Harris up the middle, first down gain for the Lynx and then some, and Cam Harris had a huge game, the senior on Senior Day. Lynx can't make anything happen on that possession. RMU gets the ball back. Dawkins drops back to pass, fires out on the far side, picked off by Sadowski. We told you you'd hear his name again. Picked off over the middle, runs it back inside the 10 at the 4-yard line, and that would set Cam Harris up with easy running room here on the very next play. Handoff to Cam Harris, finds the hole up the middle, gives the Lynx their first touchdown of the game. John Kelly would miss the PAT. Lynx cut the lead to 10-6. We're going to head to the 4th quarter of action now as things really started getting going in the 4th quarter for this game. Lynx hung around all game long, full backfield for Terry and Austin. Takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Cam Harris, steps up in the pocket, fires, but he's picked off at the goal line, and RMU would get the ball back deep in their own territory. They'll hand off to the running back who finds running room, barreling downfield in the opening, and Trey Parker's going to come up with the shoestring tackle, touchdown-saving tackle there for Trey. Dawkins now has it. Hands off again to his running back, who finds another hole, cuts through it, and at the last minute, K. Ross Stewart shoves him out of bounds. Another touchdown-saving tackle, but RMU would have to settle for a field goal here, 17 yards for Brian Franklin. Up and through the uprights and good. Austin to Clocky, as you can see on your screen, that was the dynamic combination late in the fourth quarter to help the Lynx get back into this one. 13-6 they trail. Actually 16-6 they trail. And Austin drops back to pass. Fires to the near side, looking for and finding his tight end, who gets pushed out of bounds. Clock will stop, and the Lynx will get a chance to hurry down the field. Now, top 3 play nominee right here. Fumbled snap for Terry and Austin. Broken play, scrambles out to his left, buying time with his feet, fires downfield, and there's none other than Zach Clocky, the leaping catch out of bounds. Now Austin fakes the handoff to Cam Harris, fires out downfield looking for Clocky, finds him as he's brought down at the goal line, and that would set the Lynx up with a 1st and goal. Austin goes to his left, breaks a tackle, and cuts back to his right. High steps into the end zone. Touchdown Lynx. They trail 16-14 after the 2-point conversion was made. Now here, RMU forced to punt. A shanked punt out of bounds late in the game. Awful punt there, and that is where Cam Harris would set up shop with the Lynx offense. Austin hands off. He hurdles a man while standing up, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling down to the 15-yard line. Now hand off to Cam again, this time to the 1-yard line, and Cam Harris and the Lynx have a 1st and goal here. The second top 3 play nominee of this highlight is Cam Harris busting into the end zone. Go-ahead touchdown. Lynx lead 20-16 after the missed 2-point conversion. Last play here for the Eagles. Dawkins will fire out to his tight end. Clock expires, and they're going to set up the hook and ladder. Pitch to Lee. Montre Lee stumbling around looking for a man to pitch to. Stutter stepping, pitches back to his quarterback. His tight end. Tight end brought down, and that is how the game will end as the sideline is jacked. So are the fans. Fans and sideline storming the field together. Players congregate at midfield around the seniors, and the Lynx hold on for the huge victory. First time in school history the Lynx had beat a ranked opponent. 20-16 was the final as your Lindenwood Belleville Lynx topple the number 14th ranked Eagles in the nation. Again, it's the first ranked team the Lynx had beat in school history. They were close last week. They were close the week before. They finally put it together in this game. It's 3 weeks in the making. Cam Harris, go-ahead touchdown with 22 seconds left. 20 carries, 210 yards, and 2 touchdowns on senior day. Cam Harris is the last time he'll be playing at Lindenwood Stadium, and Brennan Hand caught up with Cam after the game.
I kind of talk about how, you just never fight, you never give up, and you continue to fight, and you power through that end zone here today.
Well, I always thought about leaving the way I came in. When I first got here, our first victory ever was when I first played and I scored, and I wanted to end it the same way. So, praise be to God that I did that today.
Absolutely. Just want to say, congratulations on a great career here. And you went out on a high note. Way to go. Best of luck to you. Congratulations again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so a crazy win here at home on senior day for the Lynx football team, knocking off their first ranked opponent in school history. And at this time, I'd like to welcome in the HBC, the head ball coach, Dale Carlson, to the desk. And Coach Carlson, welcome in back to the Sports Report, and it's got to feel really good this time to come back and talk about a huge victory for the team.
Yeah, no doubt, Jake. We started to play the way that I felt like we were capable of playing the last couple of weeks, and we put it all together against Robert Morris and challenged the team to play for 4 quarters and to finish an opponent, and we did just that on Saturday.
Now, I want to talk about what you said, put it all together, and that's one thing that I've heard pretty much every football player say this week coming off the heels of that huge win. And I've heard a lot of them say this has been 3 weeks in the making. You guys performed very well in the first half against Marion, obviously had the second half struggles, and then pretty much the whole game against St. Francis of Illinois took them right to the wire. And then finally, it all comes together this past Saturday. How gratifying is that for you as a head coach?
Well, really, my focus really not so much is for me. It's on the players, and I was really happy for them, the fact that they kept doing the things that we were asking them to do, kept giving a great effort, and it paid off for them with the win on Saturday. But that's what we're trying to teach them to do, and so you feel good about the fact that your lessons, so to speak, are starting to take hold. But for us to start to understand the importance of playing every play as hard as we can, not letting any adversity affect the next play. And I think was an issue that we had early in the year, is things might not go our way, and then we, for whatever reason, maybe wouldn't play as hard, wouldn't be as focused, and we really emphasized that the last few weeks. And as you said, we started to see it gel a little bit in the Marion game, and then at St. Francis, and then obviously last week we finished it.
Now, I don't want to call it a culture per se, but you talked about how sometimes the guys can get down on themselves if things don't go your way. How do you, as a coaching staff as a whole, sort of change that mentality with your players? I mean, it has to be difficult sometimes to get that through their head, to keep believing.
Sure, and I think part of it is what do we teach them, besides how to block and tackle. And I'm big on teaching character. And so we talk a lot about being disciplined, being responsible, being focused, having faith in your teammates, being loyal, and I could name those, characteristics on and on and on and on. But it's that constant talking about it, giving examples, assistant coaches constantly teaching that in their meeting rooms and in their position group workouts. And I really believe that, we're starting to understand what that means, as you've seen from our play the last couple of weeks.
Now, we'll go ahead and transition to this weekend's game against Taylor. You guys traveled to Upland, Indiana this Saturday to another Mid-States Football Association game. First off, how, as a coaching staff, do you prep your players to not have the sort of emotional hangover coming into this game with the big win last week?
Well, it's interesting you brought that up, because that's one of the words that we try to talk about. It's somewhat in a negative sense, is emotion. If you look at, again, those character qualities, I prefer the word enthusiasm. Because that's something that, get real technical here, but the Greek word of enthusiasm is ethos. It's in your soul. And so we talk about enthusiasm as being that thing that takes you through, where emotion is like putting gas in a tank. Once you hit the accelerator and boom, the tank goes empty, you're empty. And when you play with enthusiasm, you don't have that emotional low from the tank going empty. So we talked a lot about that. We also said, this is a very good football team, and don't kid yourself. They were down 49-7 to St. Francis and came back. They played Marion in a tight ball game. They've got some talented players, and they're starting to gel at the right time too. So I think they've seen on video that we're going to have our hands full. So we're just going to have to go and play for 4 quarters again, and then see what happens at the end of the game.
Trojans come into this game 5-3 on the year, 3-2 in the Mid-States Football Association Mid-East League. That's good enough for 3rd in the league currently. You guys sit a couple spots below that. This team boasts the number 10 best rushing defense in the NAI. Obviously, Cam Harris, the premier running back for your football team, and one of the best rushers in the nation. How do you guys sort of get around this defense and open up those holes for Cam to get another 200-yard game this week?
Well, hopefully it's about just getting better at our techniques, at blocking up front, at finishing our blocks. We've played 2 top 10 defenses already in the last 2 weeks, and we've done a pretty good job rushing the football. And that doesn't mean that we're guaranteed to do it again. It's going to be about our players, being focused, executing their assignments and their techniques. And so we've continued just to challenge them and coach them. And I think the biggest part about going into this week, and I told the players this at the beginning, it's great, we won, we beat a good football team, but now you got to prove that you can do it again. You got to prove you can do it 2 weeks in a row. And so that's really our challenge, coming up to this week. But it's about our offensive linemen finishing blocks. It's about our backs, hitting the holes correctly, and all those things that we've been coaching them to do. We just have to do it a little bit better this week.
I want to talk about your offensive line a little bit for a second, because you guys have had 2 significant injuries on the O-line. Brian Nimsky goes down alongside your starting center, Oscar Reyes, and Oscar took a whole lot of snaps. He was also the long snapper for a period of time. What do you have to say as a coach? How proud of you are those backup offensive linemen coming in and performing as well as they have so far these couple games?
Sure, it's really been, I think, a testament to those young players, Orlando Van Hook, Thelk. that have really stepped up. Even though Thelk was starting at right guard, but we had to move him into center, and he had to snap, and Orlando got a chance to play, his first meaningful snaps in the St. Francis game, and obviously this past Saturday against Robert Morris. But it's great to see. It's great to see him step up. It's great to see him respond, and that's the mentality that your football team has to have, that injuries are part of the game. If somebody gets hurt, somebody's got to step up. It's the next man up, and the expectation is that you're going to perform at a high level. But those kids have worked, and they're watching the video, and Coach Chafin, our offensive line coach, is doing a great job getting them prepared. And so I expect that they're going to step their level of play up even a little bit more this week.
You always hear championship coaches and championship teams talk about next man up, and it's a great mentality to have. Last thing, Coach, before we let you go, we talked about injuries. What is the injury report for this week coming in? We got Blaharczyk back last week, a great sign to have another defensive stalwart back. What can you tell us in the injury front?
Obviously Oscar is out for the year, as well as Nemski in the offensive line. But for the most part, most of our frontline players getting Matt back. We're pretty much almost to full strength on defense. Mariko Childs was back playing last week, so we feel like we're finally all up to speed. Obviously, without T.J. Onstadt and Adrian Williams, they're both out for the season. But we've gotten some other guys back to play, and as I said, next man up, kind of situation had to happen. Eric Sadowski has really stepped his level of play up the last few weeks, and has stepped into that middle linebacker spot. So we feel pretty good about where we're at, and knock on wood, we don't get anybody else hurt. But it's just what you have to have. So besides really Oscar and Brian, I think we're pretty much back to full strength.
And you talked there about Eric Sadowski for a second, and I almost let it slip my mind. Can't believe it. Eric Sadowski, the NAIA Defensive Player of the Week. It's the first time a Lindenwood Lynx player has ever won that award, so congratulations to Eric. A huge award. He had an insane game on Saturday afternoon. An interception. He forced a fumble on, I believe, the first play from scrimmage for RMU. 9 total tackles, a sack, 1.5 tackles for loss. Just talk about his performance on Saturday and this season as a whole.
Sure. And Eric has been a very steady performer. He was a starter here last year as a freshman, and has had to adapt to some of the injuries that we've had, and we've had to bounce him around a little bit. He's an excellent student. In the classroom, he's an excellent student of the game, and I think that interception was a classic example. When you watch the video, he from what we had seen in video study, had been able to just read the pattern, had a great drop, stepped up, intercepted the pass, and almost scored with it. And I think that's typical of his preparation, week in and week out. But it was a great honor for him, and obviously it's a great honor for our team too, to have a National Player of the Week and a Conference Player of the Week, and it's great for the university to finally get an NAIA athlete recognized in that era.
Just another way Lindenwood Belleville getting put on the map with
Absolutely.
football. And Sadowski, only a sophomore. I think that's the scary thing about it. He still has 2 more years to grow.
We're looking forward to his development for sure.
Sadowski, the 3rd Lynx player in school history to earn Mid-States Football Association Player of the Week honors, joining K. Ross Stewart and Matt Blaharczyk. And as we said, the first player in school history to earn NAIA Defensive Player of the Week award. So congratulations to Eric Sadowski, a huge award. And thank you very much, Coach, for joining us at the desk. The Lynx will take on the Trojans of Taylor University this Saturday. Game will start at 12 p.m. You can tune in to 89.1 HD3 The Link. Myself will be on the call for that one, so don't forget to tune in. And now on to basketball. Last week we saw the Lynx beat Southwest Christian from Oklahoma City and get their first win of the season. This week, the Lynx welcome in their first ranked opponent of the year in number 22, Benedictine, Kansas, the Ravens from Atchison, Kansas. And now I'd like to welcome in my broadcasting partner, Devin Jackson, as we will have full coverage and highlights of the men's game on Tuesday. And Devin, you and I called the game. It started out as a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, both teams were both evenly matched, They both kind of, I guess, adjusted to their styles of play. Lynx being more of an up-tempo offensive style, and then Benedictine being more of a half-court offense. I feel like they kind of contrasted in that first half, which is why the score was so close. And then even throughout the second half, the game was played very closely. Both teams knew what they were probably going to do, Lynx went to pick and roll a lot, and Benedictine kind of spread the floor, drived and kicked out for threes because, they had a lot of shooters on the court. So, the last 5 minutes really separated the game. Benedictine able to pull away in the last 5 minutes, and Lynx unable to get something going on offense.
All right, let's take a look at those highlights then real quick and talk about exactly what Devin was talking about as the Lynx would take on the number 22 Ravens, number 22 team in the nation.
So Lynx in action against their first ranked opponent of the season, number 22 Benedictine Ravens in Devon. It proved to be a pretty good game as the Lynx looked to pick up their first win of the season against a ranked opponent. Went 2-6 last season against ranked opponents. Obviously, those 2 wins late down the stretch against Freed Hardeman and Columbia. And the Lynx Arena was pretty lit on Tuesday night as you and I called the game. Very exciting atmosphere at home for the Lindenwood Belleville Lynx. We'll pick it up second half action now. Live in this game, and the Lynx really struggled from 3.
Yeah, they went 2 for 27, like you said on the show. And, Doobie here, unable to hit the 3 there, and it just shows the struggles that they had all night. Too many off balance, too many step back threes, and, had a lot of turnovers as well, traveling as well. And they just couldn't get the shot to fall, and then you have Doobie here, a tough shot, couldn't get it to go, and you had to give credit to that Benedictine defense.
And right here we see Harris Jr. for Benedictine crosses his man up, kind of rocks him to sleep there, and drives and finishes nicely with the left hand. Now Doobie here, the circus shot, looking like his brother, Quincy Doobie, looking like an NBA player, splits the double team, goes up and under. Talking about the three-point shooting, the three-point shooting woes would continue all game, and it really served to be the main issue for the Lynx, as Benedictine, though, had no problems knocking down their shots. And then Sean McGee here would dish it out to Mingo. Mingo would miss. Benedictine would pull in the board, and Lynx just had no sort of rhythm to their offense all night long.
No, I kind of talked about it a little bit. They're just stagnant offensively, trying to create their own shots, not really working the ball around. And like we were talking about, with Curran and Justin Turner on again, you can see the ball moving fluently and whatnot, and see it doing things that you don't see it with the starters.
And the Lynx would go on to fall 75-68 to the number 22 ranked Ravens. Doobie goes for another double-double, 15 and 10, 3 assists. Adam Hendricks, 14 and 11. Lynx 2 of 27 from downtown Devon as the Lynx dropped to 1-1 on the season.
All right, so Devin, tough loss there for the Lynx in that one. They do fall. As I said before, you and I called the game. What are your initial thoughts after watching that game?
My initial thoughts are that the Lynx need to kind of change their offense a little bit more, especially geared toward the last 5 minutes of the game. It was kind of stagnant, kind of relied on Doobie and Sean McGee to create offense for them, and it's kind of shades of last year how they go isolation basketball with Craig Anderson and kind of just allowed him to create for the team. And it kind of bit them in the butt last year. The last 5 minutes of a game, they knew it was going to last year, Craig Anderson. This year, they kind of get into the same tendencies. So, prior to that, I feel like maybe they have to also go back and look at the lineups they have at that time. They had their traditional starting lineup, but I felt for that specific game, Colin Mingo worked best for that because he was able to spread the floor, able to knock down jumpers as well and create his own shot as well. So it took some of the pressure off of Doobie and T.J. Jackson to create offense. So, for the Lynx, it was a tough loss, but they can take a lot of positives from them. They played with, the 22nd best team in the nation throughout the whole game, had the lead at multiple times in the game. So it can build confidence for them going into the next few games and when they play another ranked opponent.
The Lynx, they really struggled from 3 in that game. They finished the game 2 of 27 from downtown. And Devin, that's a troubling sign if you're Coach Scott Spinner, especially with his teams sort of living by the 3 and dying by the 3 in the past. And they died by it on Tuesday night.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit in the broadcast how, they kind of relied on a three-point shot a little bit too much, especially near the end of the game when they were only down by like 4 or 5 points. You can get an easy bucket right there to cut it within 2 or 3 points and then, play, the foul game. Mm-hmm. But, when they were this type of threes they were shooting last night towards the end of the game, contested, off balance, and that's not really their game necessarily. And just struggling for two for 27. It's going to be hard to win games when you can't produce from the 3-point line, and somewhere else they had to make up for, and they kind of struggle at the free throw line as well. Getting the free points. So for the Lynx, it's just one of those nights where you have an off night, and sometimes the ball doesn't fall from the 3-point line.
As a team, the Lynx go 61% from the free throw line. That's not championship numbers right there. They always say good championship teams shoot their free throws very well. I mean, we see teams like the San Antonio Spurs, Golden State Warriors, go to college, Duke, Wisconsin, Kentucky. Teams like that shoot their free throws very well. Lynx struggled from the free throw line, and like I said in the broadcast, there's a reason they're called free throws. You have to make the easy ones there. To me, I think one of the most telling signs is the fact that when their backcourt really struggled until they brought in the duo of Curran Walsh and Justin Tornell. And then things started to happen. Those two guys play more of a facilitator role for Coach Scott Spinner's team as opposed to Sean McGee, who's I think sort of more of a scoring point guard. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's very interesting to go back and look at, Curran Walsh and Justin Tornell. They really, brought a different dynamic to the game, facilitating, not looking to score as much, trying to get other people around them buckets. So I felt like they can go to that lineup more times than not, especially if they need, to come back a little bit to score some points offensively, because, it just doesn't run straight through Doobie, McGee, or TJ Jackson. Instead, the ball moves more fluently and kind of like a Spurs type offense, like the ball's touching everybody's hands. Like even the one shot clock violation they had where they couldn't, get a shot off in time, you could see everybody was touching the ball, moving fluently. So hopefully, in the future, if they go to that lineup, maybe stay a little bit longer with it. I feel like just a couple more minutes could have been difference in the game if they kept with that lineup.
And Curran Walsh breaking guys' ankles out there the other night in that game. Lynx lose the bench point battle 43-11. They need to get more production from their bench down the stretch this season. That's one thing they struggled with last year was lack of bench production.
Yeah, that and lack of depth. They didn't have many players. They only had 7 or 8 players, dressing per game. But this year, they have a lot more players on the bench. And, if they come in the game, not all of them are necessarily geared towards scoring when they come in the game, but they just need more production from them. So Doobie can get a rest, TJ Jackson, McGee, they all can get a rest. And, down the stretch, they have more energy to finish the game out, especially in the close game like Tuesday night.
Do you think the lack of Joey De La Rosa, the 7-footer, do you think that that's playing an impact on this? I mean, obviously, you have a 7-foot-tall player that sort of discourages people going into the lane, and if you're looking at points in the paint for Benedictine, they had 30 in that game on Tuesday night. So do you feel like the lack of having Joey De La Rosa is impacting this Lynx team?
Yeah, I think so. They've been practicing with them and, kind of having a chemistry with them, and then, not having them on the court and come game time, it's different. You have someone in the middle that, can be their defensive anchor, and he's not playing, and you have to have guys like Mingo and Hendricks kind of step up and, kind of be a defensive anchor, but they're not, necessarily that type of player. And then, with De La Rosa, he also helped out with all the offensive rebounds they gave up on Tuesday night. That was something else they struggled with. And, for them to, going forward, I feel like he's kind of like a missing piece somewhat, like offensive rebounds wise and defensive rebounds wise. He doesn't necessarily have to have point production, but just the rebounds and not allowing offensive rebounds on the defensive side of things. I think that's where he'll make his huge impact, and especially not allowing points in the paint as well.
Lynx gave up 11 offensive boards in that game on Tuesday night. So obviously a tough loss. Doobie goes for another double-double, 15 and 10 on the night, 15 points, 10 rebounds. As the Lynx do fall to 1-1 off the loss against against Benedictine. Lynx will get another crack at Benedictine later on this season, December 12th. They'll actually travel to Kansas and take on the currently ranked number 22 Ravens. Lynx, Devin, probably are going to not receive any more of those votes in the coaches poll after this loss. Potentially. We'll have to see, how that goes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Lynx upcoming schedule. And Devin, you can join us still here at the desk. It would be great. So we talked about the Lynx. They will take on Benedictine, Kansas later on in the season. Upcoming game, actually tomorrow night, Friday, November 6th in Grayson, Kentucky. The Lynx will take on Indiana University Southeast as part of the Kentucky Christian Classic. And Devin, this is the first matchup between these two teams in school history. Everything I hear about Indiana University Southeast, they have some tall guys that can give the Lynx some problems. Obviously, Lynx, that's one thing they struggle with is the height department. They're missing their 7-footer. All other players are 6'8" or under. That could be a huge problem tomorrow night for the Lynx as the game starts at 6 p.m.
Yeah, especially, given the offensive rebounds they get against Benedictine. Benedictine didn't have the tallest guys either. They're kind of matched up with ours, but it's more about that and then effort, giving more effort on the defense end, trying to secure those defensive rebounds so they're able to get more possessions offensively. And, struggling with the size, I mean, it can be a problem, but at the same time, if you, box out and do the fundamentals that you're taught, it shouldn't be that much of a problem. And, I mean, if they score over the top of, our big men, then so be it. It kind of happens, occasionally. But if they play solid defense and box out and, get more offensive production, offensive fluency, I shouldn't see why they could be able to win that game and, not have, the height being a disparity.
Well, this Indiana University Southeast team is Division II in AIA. They're currently 0-3 on the season, but they do rank number 20 in the nation in D2 for offensive boards per game. So we talked about the offensive board issues and we talked about the height issues. Scoring-wise, they have one player that's averaging 20 points per game, but that's about it. The rest of them are averaging single digits. If you're Coach Scott Spinner, and we know, Devin, last year how much difficulty the Lynx had in their neutral site games. They went 1-3 in tournament games last year, in regular season tournament games. Obviously, Lynx players are probably circling this game as an easy win. How do you, if you're Coach Spinner, not overlook this team?
Well, you can't, get too ahead of yourself already and, overlook a team just because of, what they have on their team, only one 20-point score. And at the same time, any player on their team could get hot and then you can have trouble throughout the whole game. So you have to stick to the game plan, have it set in, but, let them know that this game is not just going to be a walkover win. And you have to, instill in that last year, again, neutral site games you didn't do as well as you would like. So the focus needs to be here, especially for this weekend, being a neutral site and playing against a team they've never played before. So you have to keep your eyes focused on what you have right now and then after the game, move forward to the next game. And you take it game by game instead of looking past to the next opponent, to your next ranked opponent, so to speak, or next conference game. So you just have to take each game one at a time and understand that each team will give their best shot at you.
The Lynx, after that, on Saturday, will take on Kentucky Christian University, the host of the Kentucky Christian Fall Classic. And then after that, the Lynx next Tuesday will have a home game against Graceland University, another Heart of America Athletic Conference opponent. The Lynx lost last year in double overtime, 125-119, to the Bees of Graceland University. You can catch that one right here on LBTV and also on 89.1 HD3 The Link. Devin, thank you for joining us here at the desk, and should be an interesting home game next Tuesday against Graceland, coming off the loss against one Heart of America Athletic Conference opponent. And then we'll have to see how the team does in this Fall Classic.
Yeah, I'm excited to call a game again next Tuesday and see how they respond from losing at home last weekend, and then depending on what happens this weekend, and see how they respond.
Got to protect home court if you're the Lynx. Already 1-1 on the year at home. We're going to take a quick break, but return. And when we return, we'll have soccer, rugby, and hockey. Lots of action here on the Sports Report. Stay tuned.
Experience a little bit of Germany close to home at the second annual Authentic Open Air German Christmas Market, featuring European vendors and German food and beverages. November 27th through December 23rd at the Belleville Public Square.
And welcome back to the Sports Report on LBTV. It's soccer time now as your men's soccer team hit the pitch this past weekend. Same day the football team, I should say, took the field against RMU. This past Saturday, the Lynx were in action against Receiving Votes Park Pirates. The Park University, looking to notch one last win under their belts this season and try and secure a home playoff spot in the AMC postseason conference tournament. And as you can see on your screen as the graphic will pop up momentarily, the Lynx do pull off the 1-0 victory. Leonardo Nakama nets his 4th goal of the season just 2 minutes into the second half, 47 minutes into the game. Leonardo Ferry records his 7th assist of the year as the Lynx win. And the Lynx, with that victory, secure a home playoff spot. They finish in the top 4. The win helps them jump William Woods in the standings, so Lynx go from 6 to 4 as William Woods stays at 5. And the Lynx will host Hannibal LaGrange in their first home playoff matchup this coming Saturday at 2 p.m. start time. Lynx lost their prior matchup to Hannibal LaGrange this season 3-2, and the Lynx look to get that win back, obviously advance into the postseason conference tournament. Lynx won the AMC tournament last season, looking for their 2nd straight conference tournament win this postseason. Transitioning to rugby now, your Lynx men's rugby team took the field, same field the men's soccer team took later on that night, in their first home playoff game in school history, taking on the Panthers of University of Wisconsin. The Lynx do win that game 35-6 in that matchup and advance to the Final Four in the WIIL playoffs. They will travel to Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. And as you can see, the bracket graphic on your screen popping up, Lynx win, University of Wisconsin Milwaukee is who the Lynx knocked off. So the Lynx do win, and they will travel to Cottage Grove, Wisconsin, where they'll meet Northern Michigan, who won their opening round matchup. If the Lynx win in this one, they will move to the championship round and play the winner of University of Wisconsin Whitewater and Northern Iowa. A loss would send the Lynx to the 3rd place match. Keep in mind, the top 3 teams from the WIIL will make the national tournament, the USA Rugby National Tournament, and advance to the round of 16 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on November 21st. So Lynx looking for a win to get the highest seed possible in the national tournament there. Good luck to the Lynx in their game on November 7th this weekend as they will take on University of Wisconsin Whitewater in Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. So good luck to the men. And they've had an outstanding season. They finished the regular season undefeated, 7-0, and now won their first playoff game in school history. So big ups to Pat Clifton's squad there, and got to be proud of our Lynx rugby team. And now let's hit the ice as your Lynx men's hockey team were back in action last week against the sister campus, the sister school, the Lindenwood Lions. Obviously a heated rivalry there between two schools that share the same name between the Lindenwood Belleville Lynx and the Lindenwood University Lions. Lynx have had a stellar first year for men's hockey. They're having another stellar year, coming into this game 13-1 on the year. Unfortunately, the weekend series would not go the Lynx way. First game, they dropped that one 5-1 to the Division I number 3 team in the nation, the Lindenwood Lions. Tough loss there as the Lions all over the Lynx. But then later on that afternoon, they would play a second game. Lynx looking for retribution in that one. Unfortunately, could not get another win back. Same result, but a little closer. 6-5 was the final score. A handful of Lynx scored there in that one. And after the weekend series, 2 losses, the Lynx will now drop to 13-3 on the season. No ties for Lindsay Middlebrook's squad. It's not all bad news, though, coming out of the hockey team camp, as the Lynx received word that 3 players plus the head coach were selected to be a part of the ACHA D2 All-Star team that will travel to Europe. Derek Van Ness, Brad Edwards, and Dwayne Wainman will represent the Lynx overseas this winter as they will compete as a part of the D2 Select team, and Lindsay Middlebrook was tabbed as the head coach of that team. Middlebrook in his 2nd year with the reins of the Lynx men's hockey team. So big ups to those guys. Congratulations to Coach Middlebrook. And I can talk from experience, Europe's a very fun place, and you guys will really, really enjoy yourselves over there. news for the university, great news for the hockey program, and really represents well for the university to have players go to Europe and select or represent our team in an all-star game setting. So congratulations to those guys, and good luck with the rest of your season. New segment here on the Sports Report is we're going to break out the top 3 plays in Lynx sports. Pretty apropos that we bring that out on the heels of some big wins this weekend for Lynx athletics. We'll go ahead and start off with the number 3 play of the week. All 3 are going to come from football, so a little spoiler alert, it's a huge win for the Lynx. Number 3 will be Terrian Austin. He has a little trouble with the pass, or with the snap, I should say. Bobbles the snap, gets it back, rolls out to his left, and then fires one 20 yards downfield to Zach Clockey, his tight end. And Clockey leaps up in the air and hauls that one in right at the tip top. Snags it, falls out of bounds, and that was actually part of the touchdown drive that helped the Lynx get back in that game and score their 14th points of the afternoon and draw close to even with RMU. Clockey had 4 receptions on that drive. Second play, more of a 2-for-1 special here. Eric Sadowski, the NAIA Defensive Player of the Week, first off, will show his forced fumble on the first play of the game, knocks it out, and then scoops it up. Lynx will take over, can't do anything with the ball on offense, but then later on in the game, in the third quarter, Byron Dawkins drops back, throws over the middle, and Eric Sadowski reads it perfectly, picks it off, returns it down inside the red zone of RMU. That would set Cam Harris up with a 3-yard touchdown run for the Lynx to get them their first points of the game and draw the score 10-6 as John Kelly would miss the extra point. And then final play, number 1 play of the week in Lynx athletics goes to none other than the workhorse, the hammer, Cam Harris. They hand it off up the middle, 22 seconds remaining, and Cam Harris gives the Lynx a 20-16 advantage with 22 ticks left on the game clock, and that would help the Lynx topple the number 14th ranked Eagles in the nation and pull off the huge upset, first time the Lynx have ever beat a ranked team in school history. So there's your top 3 plays of the week. Cam Harris gets the number 1 play of the week honors. It was a tough decision. Eric Sadowski put on an amazing performance, but when you have a guy that scores the game-winning touchdown with 22 seconds left, kind of hard to not give it to Cam Harris, the 4-year player here for the Lynx men's football team. He's been here since day 1. He's played 8 straight years of football here at those grounds, played for Althoff for 4 years at Township Stadium, and then now 4 years at Lindenwood Stadium. So congrats to Cam Harris and the rest of the Lynx men's football team. That's all we have here at the Sports Report on LBTV. Don't forget to tune in same time, same place next week. We'll have coverage of football, basketball, hockey, rugby. We'll talk the men's soccer playoff game and also highlight the women's basketball opener on next week's show. For everyone here at LBTV, I'm Jake Griffith signing off. This has been a presentation of the Sports Report. Thanks for watching.